Desmond Tutu says that if you are neutral in situations of injustice, then you chose the side of the oppressor. And growing up, I used to witness a lot of injustices, and this has been my drive ever since.
Part of the work that CALS does is about expanding the agency of marginalized actors. We do that by, getting more people involved in public interest law, targeting students as well from historically Black institutions, and getting them to be part of public interest litigation.
Very rarely do we have the opportunity to engage this deeply with areas like human rights law, refugee law.
It introduces a component of human rights law, but tackles it in a broader sense.
I chose to study law because I love that feeling when someone comes to you with a problem and you are able to solve that problem for them.
I believe that law is infused in every aspect of our life. That is the economical aspect, the political aspect, and the social aspect.
Moot court, in a nutshell, is a simulation of a real-life court where legal proceedings and trials take place.
Issues of universal interest are brought before the court. And I think being a lawyer who takes part in those issues is such an honorable thing.
Makes you feel like you are an advocate already, not a student. Makes you feel like you are arguing on a real case, not a hypothetical case.
We've never been more proud to be participants in this course of education, transformative law, and the development of young legal minds. #PIL, #CALS, #SLS, #Thou Shall Move.
If I was in your shoes, if I was the applicant, I would definitely reserve a minute for rebuttal. So I think that will put all of you at a level of ease that every single person in this room is going to say something about jurisdiction and about leave to appeal.
Your job as lawyers is to be as prepared as possible. When you walk out of your schools with your law degree, that is power.
Public interest law is about articulating a radical vision for post-apartheid politics and society and restructuring the law and legal forms to conform to that vision. You, as aspirant public interest lawyers, are at the very forefront of that project.
When students graduate from university, they are unready for the field of practice. So basically that's where student litigation was born from. We want to bridge that gap between the theoretical knowledge that the students gather from their lectures, but also incorporate them with the practical experience.
We're expecting huge questions, like serious questions.
The applicant has been what we may regard as vulnerable person ever since he set foot in the Republic as an asylum seeker to being an illegal foreigner.
What law authorised your client to intentionally expose people to COVID-19?
Herd immunity is the best protection against a contagious disease such as COVID-19.
Well, they say herd immunity by way of vaccination.
Yes, Justice. So they say
not common causes at all.
Please allow me to continue.
Absolutely.
That is the evidence we seek from, just that allowing the virus to spread is sight.
If I'm to boil water right now, it will boil at 100 degrees. That's science. If my co-counsel was to do the same, the water will boil at 100 degrees. This now says that such evidence in scientific medicine is scientific and can be verified.
What do you say about the rights of the applicant and other prisoners in the same position not to be exposed?
The right to the healthcare will be provided in the instance where the healthcare facilities are available depending on the availability of resources and that they are adequate and reasonable in the circumstances.
This is a sensitive matter, Justice, and therefore the courts should be presented with all the relevant evidence and facts in order to arrive at a just outcome.
So the more reasonable, the more vulnerable the applicant, the nicer I should be to the state.
No.
The respondents' actions were reasonable, and only that. No drama, no emotions, no theatrics. We are only here to determine the facts.
The top two teams that will be going to the finalists are the University of Johannesburg and Rhodes University. This is a field that we do. This is our heart. This is what we love. And we wanted people to know about the work that we do, to want to be part of the work that we do. We want students to know that there's more to law than only commercial law or corporate law. There's this field of law that can make a difference in people's lives. Welcome you to the first ever public interest law moot court competition.
In this case, we shall proceed to show how the officials breached their constitutional obligations in fulfilling, in protecting and respecting the rights in terms of the Bill of Rights of the applicant.
We submit that it was reasonable and it was probable for the respondents in this matter to have assumed that the applicant was either selling tobacco products or buying contraband products.
Assumptions that it could have, and it could have, and it could have, was based on what?
Our submission is that the police should not have done anything because the applicant was not doing anything wrong in the circumstances. The applicant was simply having a smoke outside of his house.
Is it your submission, if I understand it correctly, that SAPS acted unlawfully?
The implication of those lawful decisions or of that lawful conduct was the violation of the applicant's constitutional rights.
Where do we stand here on these facts? What is your case? And the omission of putting in place adequate measures to combat the spread of COVID-19.
When inmates came into the prison, they screened all inmates in accordance with the established protocols throughout taking the temperature and asking a series of questions.
I cannot say anything else that you did.
Justice, please allow me to continue with my argument. I shall get to that. Also, Justice says it is also important to understand that sanitizing played a huge role in this course of combating the pandemic.
I think what we will have to do for the future together is firstly to change the face of public interest law. You have read the cases of the 80s, you've read the cases of the 90s. What would have struck you are the leading counsel in those cases. That must change. You must play your role in changing the names of the advocates who appear at the end of each judgment.
The winners of the first ever public interest law moot court competition is the University of Johannesburg.
We are making history actually. It's the first ever public interest law moot court competition.
Besides amazing, it affirmed me because I really didn't think I was actually good at arguing. So it felt good to be like, oh, everybody else thinks so, therefore I think so.